In a quiet village surrounded by mighty mountains and lush green fields, there lived a girl named Rhea. She was known for her silence. While other kids laughed and played, Rhea would sit by herself, often staring at the mountains in the distance. She had dreams, big ones. She wanted to become a public speaker, someone who could stand on a stage and inspire people with her words. But there was one problem. Rhea could barely speak in front of her class. Every time the teacher asked her to read aloud, her hands trembled, her voice cracked, and her heart pounded like a drum. One time, during a school presentation, she forgot all her lines. The room fell silent. Then laughter followed. That day, she cried in the school washroom, feeling ashamed and broken. She looked at herself in the mirror and whispered, "Why can't I be confident like others? What's wrong with me?" Her village had a tradition. Every year, during the Festival of Courage, the village children would climb a nearby mountain. It wasn't a dangerous climb, but it required strength, focus, and a bit of bravery. Rhea had never gone. She always made excuses, saying she was sick or had homework. But this year, something inside her stirred. Maybe it was the pain of being laughed at, or maybe it was the desire to change. She decided, "I will climb that mountain." The morning of the climb, Rhea stood at the base of the mountain. The path looked long, steep, and uncertain. Many children had already begun the journey. Some were fast, some slow, some loud, and some quiet. Rhea took a deep breath and stepped forward. The path was rocky. Thorns scratched her arms. Her legs ached, but she kept walking. Every time doubt crept in, she'd whisper to herself, "One step more, just one step more." On the second day of the climb, dark clouds filled the sky. A soft drizzle turned into heavy rain. Most children returned to camp, but Rhea kept walking, wet, tired, and shivering. Suddenly, she slipped and fell hard, scraping her knee. The pain shot through her leg like fire. She wanted to give up, but just then she saw something. A small flower growing between two rocks, fragile, soaked, yet standing tall. It made her smile. If this tiny flower can stand strong in a storm, so can I. She got up, limping but determined. On the third day, the climb grew steeper. Fewer kids were left on the trail. Some had given up, others were resting. Halfway up, Rhea saw an old man sitting near a large rock. He was a mountain guide, someone who helped young climbers. He looked at her muddy clothes, her scraped knees, her wet hair, and smiled. "You've come far, child," he said. "But before you go higher, I want to show you something." He led her to a hidden spot behind the rock. There stood a mirror, tall, old, slightly cracked, but still clear. "Look," he said. Rhea stood in front of it and saw herself, tired, dirty, injured, but also strong, brave, and still climbing. "What do you see?" the old man asked. She thought for a moment and whispered, "I see a girl who didn't give up." The old man nodded. That's what confidence is. Not perfect words, not applause, but showing up when it's hard and still moving forward. On the final day, Rhea reached the summit. The wind blew through her hair. The village looked tiny below. The sky stretched wide above her like a canvas of dreams. She felt something she had never felt before, not just joy, but pride. For the first time, she didn't feel less. She didn't feel broken. She felt enough. After the climb, the village held a celebration. Every climber was asked to come forward and speak about their journey. Rhea's name was called. She froze for a moment. Her heartbeat rose. But this time, she didn't run. She walked up slowly, her legs still aching, but her head held high. She looked at the crowd, her classmates, her teacher, her parents. Her voice trembled a little, but she said, "I was afraid to speak. I was afraid to climb. I thought I wasn't enough. But the mountain taught me something. Confidence isn't about being loud. It's about believing you can rise, even when you fall." The crowd clapped, not out of sympathy, but out of respect. Rhea grew up to become a motivational speaker. She stood on stages in front of thousands, not because she was fearless, but because she had learned to walk with fear, not away from it. And in every speech, she would share the story of the mountain, the mirror, and that little flower in the rain. She would end her speech with one message. Confidence doesn't mean you're never afraid. It means you go forward, even with shaking hands. even with a trembling voice, even when the world doubts you, because you've learned to believe in yourself, not just when you win, but especially when you fall and rise again. Dear listener, if you're struggling with self-doubt, if you've been laughed at or made to feel small, if your voice shakes or your knees tremble, remember this. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, one small step at a time. You don't have to climb the biggest mountain today. Just take the first step, because someday, when you look in your own mirror, you'll see someone who never gave up. And that is where true confidence begins.